So, I have a theory, and if you'll lend me your ear for about 10 minutes today, I feel like I should be able to adequately express to you guys why I think one of the biggest keys to success this year is the offensive line. Our ability or inability to keep Carson Wentz upright, to keep pressure off of Carson Wentz, I think will determine the season. And I think if you look at some of the underlying analytics that affected Carson Wentz, the story is quite easy to see. All right, y'all. Give me your ear for a few minutes. What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Steven Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is you get around to watching us. Once again, guys, my name is Steven Hyder, and this is Gate City Sports Channel. All right, guys, today's topic. So listen, a lot of news breaking along the offensive line, right? I won't get into too much of this, but Jason Peters has agreed to move to left tackle, okay? I've heard some people say, like, oh, he agreed to do it for no additional money. I don't know if that's true. I listened to Doug Peterson's conference. He seemed to indicate that he doesn't know anything about that aspect, and, that's not really his realm to discuss. It's not what he does with the team. So I don't know if that's true or not, guys. What I will say is that putting Jason Peters at left tackle, I think, makes the most sense. I think we all knew that. What I think has to be discussed here is a lot of you guys have hit me up and you were like, hey, Gate, what are we doing with Cordy Glenn? Well, here's the thing. On one hand, could Jason Peters agreeing to move to left tackle impact Cordy Glenn? Sure. Absolutely. Cordy Glenn's presence in the building could have made Jason Peters, I don't think this is true, guys, but it could have made Jason Peters say, like, hey, man, let me just go ahead and agree to play left tackle, yada, yada, yada. I don't necessarily agree with that because I like Cordy Glenn a lot. You guys know that I plugged him pretty quickly and said, hey, this is someone I like. This is someone I watched film on. This guy makes a lot of sense. He's not to the same talent level as Jason Peters, but he's a very solid tackle. I thought he would be a really good guy to add into the building. On that note, guys, I still feel Cordy Glenn makes a lot of sense for the Philadelphia Eagles, guys. If you're asking me why, simply put, he's versatile, man. He can play left tackle, he can play left guard, he can play right guard, he can play right tackle. This is an ideal guy to plug in as either you're starting left tackle, left guard, or right tackle, or at the very minimum, he's a really, really good sixth man off the bench. That's valuable, guys, especially knowing I love JP. I still think JP is a top 12 offensive tackle in this league, even to this day. He's also going to miss a couple of plays. He's probably going to miss a series or two. He might even miss games. We know this is a fact with Jason Peters, and this is no knock against Peters. He's 38 years old. Your body breaks down after time. It's amazing this guy has been at this level this long. We saw his workouts when he was trying to catch teams' eyes. This dude still has it. He can play football. We know that. But you have to hedge your bet and provide insurance. And I do think Cordy Glenn makes a lot of sense there. I honestly think the Eagles have to keep pushing. I know that he was in the building. I know that they have watched him work out. And Doug Peterson spoke about that. Doug Peterson said that he looked good. So, question remains, will they sign Cordy Glenn? I don't know, guys. I don't know what the kid's going to ask. I don't know what his medicals came back because he did have a pretty severe concussion last year. There's elements to this that I'm not given privilege to hear or to be in on. So I don't know. Honestly, it still makes a ton of sense to me. I still think you need that sixth veteran guy to come in to play and back up every spot, basically, minus center. So, to me, ton of sense here. Don't know if it'll happen, guys. I don't have that type of, that kind of clout and that type of pull to have an answer for that. What I will say is this, guys. This decision is immensely important. And I want to walk you through a few things just to show how important this decision is, okay? If we go to last season, right, you can look at things like Carson Wentz's, completed air yards. His completed air yards were like 5.5, guys, right? His intended air yards. He was trying to throw it down almost 8 yards downfield on average. Air yards to the sticks, he was still decent even though he was below 0, which is right at the sticks. Like, we can see that things were being played up tight and up close with Carson Wentz. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you guys that there's a single factor you can point out and say this one variable, is the absolute answer to the question that has to deal with what happened on offense last year. Okay, it's not that simple. So many variables that go into this. One of those variables being clearly we lacked outside speed. Deshaun Jackson went down, our outside speed went down. We lacked depth at receiver, right? Some of the guys we were banking on to be back of the end guys with a lot of talent. We had J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was supposed to be that fourth receiver last year. He's supposed to be able to do all these things. It didn't work out last year. There's a lot of things that happened, no doubt about it. But one thing that cannot be ignored, guys, is the pressure rate. And I want to show you something right behind me. Pressure rate. Carson Wentz last year, he was 11th in the league when it comes to pressure rate. 11th. If you take the top 12, basically the top third of the league, how many of these guys made it into the playoffs? Case Keenum didn't. Daniel Jones didn't. Russell Wilson did. Sam Darnold didn't. Joe Flacco didn't. Jacoby Brissett didn't. Ryan Fitzpatrick didn't. Mason Rudolph didn't. Ryan Tannehill did. Matt Ryan didn't. Carson Wentz did. Josh Allen didn't. So that was 3 by my count. Wentz, Tannehill, and then last, Russell Wilson, okay? Oh, I'm sorry, Josh Allen did. My bad, guys. So 4. 4 by my count. I'm sorry, I don't know why I mixed that one up. 4 guys made the playoffs. But here's the thing. Now I want to show you a different statistic, an advanced analytic that'll help spell this out to you guys. Time to throw. And let's look at the top 12 guys when it comes to time to throw. So you're going to stop basically at Kyle Allen. That's where I probably mixed up here. For your top 12. Andy Dalton didn't make the playoffs. Drew Brees made the playoffs. Ryan Fitzpatrick didn't make the playoffs. Joe Flacco didn't make the playoffs. Phillip Rivers didn't make the playoffs. All right? Let's keep going. Joe Flacco, Phillip Rivers, Mitchell Trubisky didn't make the playoffs. Jimmy Garoppolo made the playoffs. Okay? Eli Manning didn't make the playoffs. Matthew Stafford didn't make the playoffs. Carson Wentz made the playoffs. Kyle Allen didn't make the playoffs. 3 guys. 3 out of those 12 made the playoffs. This is what I say when I talk to people who don't, they make these comments, but they don't really understand the full context of what they're saying. Guys, look at the people who made the playoffs here, who had incredible pressure rates against them, and in addition to having an incredible pressure rate against them, had to speed it up because of the lack of weapons with time to throw. Okay, we know that Drew Brees is a check down artist. He had the most time in the league to throw in terms of his time to throw. He's just a check down artist. That's what he does. I love Drew Brees. I'm not trying to knock him, but that's what he is. Okay? We can go take a look at Jimmy Garoppolo. Same thing. Check down artist. He was still pretty much in that bottom third of the league. He had a lot of time to throw. He wasn't pressured. The only guy who was pressured and had to alter his style of play to play in front of him and speed the game up with his time to throw was Carson Wentz. He's the only one in both those categories. That should tell us something. That should tell us just how important fixing this offensive line is. We can get on Wentz all day about, he holds the balls too long sometimes, and I agree. There are occasions I can point out, guys, where I can break down film and I can show you, hey, look, Wentz has got to be a little faster at processing this, get the ball out. I know that the one everyone loves to show me is the one in Seattle where he doesn't throw the ball to Miles Sanders, but I'm here to tell you guys that's a mistake. You don't understand what they're trying to manipulate. I've done a breakdown on that play, and I'll link it for you. You have to understand that while that was open, you have to understand that Carson Wentz's responsibility was to move the linebackers out of the zone that was coming open for Greg Ward. Okay? He did that beautifully. The problem is the line didn't hold up long enough for Wentz to make the completion. You can see exactly who they're trying to attack, how they're trying to attack it, and what happens. That's the problem here, guys, is that mixed in with Wentz's sometimes his lack of processing at times, and I'm not saying that he has some kind of a strange problem with this. Every quarterback does this from time to time. But Wentz sometimes can play a little bit of hero ball, right? He can definitely, if you're not trying to manipulate, it's not a really scheduled out play, he'll try to get the ball and press it downfield. It took a long time to get Wentz to kind of come around to this offense to really play in front of him. That's what I'm saying, guys, is that this line has to hold up. Okay? This running game, some of these guys, if you look at them, if you talk about teams that advanced, right? So you look at this list of guys I gave you, its pressure rates. Russell Wilson, phenomenal quarterback, okay? Had a decent running game until it all came apart at the end of the season, right? With Chris Carson and those guys. Okay, Carson Wentz had a really good running game for a very short period of time, and then Jordan Howard went down. Miles Sanders ended up having a bum ankle come the playoff time. Still, phenomenal quarterback, right? You can look at, Jared Allen. You can look all these guys, right, who came in. Ryan Tannehill, the other guy that was up there for pressure rate in the top 12 that made the playoffs. So Josh Allen, I'm sorry, not Jared, Josh Allen, Ryan Tannehill, those guys. Like, all these guys had phenomenal running games, okay? Especially Ryan Tannehill. He rode a very good defense and a very good running game very far. We have got to find a way to keep this kid upright, whether that is through running the ball a little more, just better overall offensive line play, better call playing. We've got to be better at calling plays. We've got to start faster. Wentz has to make, there are some little subtle things where he has to be better processing and getting the ball at his hands at times, no doubt. But this is a bigger deal than I think is getting attention right now. This is my point for today, guys. This offensive line stuff is very important, and I don't think we have the depth right now. We need more depth than what is on this roster. All right, y'all. I think I made my point. I'll chill out on y'all now. I'll ask you in the comments, what do you think? I just kind of presented you a lot of information. What do you think about all this, guys? Leave your comments down below. And you know how we end these videos, guys. We do a little E-A-G-L-E-S. All right, y'all. Let's go, Eagles.